Hello all and welcome back to another wonderful video. Today we are here on this strange court because today, as the video title suggests, we're going to be explaining how basketball works in Ponytown. Now this is a thing that you can technically do in Ponytown, but it is near impossible. It's not as simple as literally just copying the setup that I have here. It's extremely difficult to set up because you have to understand how regions work. You also have to somehow be able to see your regions or test enough to find out where those regions are and stuff like that, and so on and so on. It's a very complicated setup that you have to do to get this set up, but once you have it, it's actually kind of fun. It seems like it would be a lot of fun. I haven't played it with other people yet, but it seems like it would be a lot of fun. But anyway, let me explain why you have to set up regions and stuff like that. So first off, I'm going to explain what a region is. A region is an 8x8 square on your island. There are many of these 8x8 squares over your island. You can't see it. So this is what it is. Obviously, this corner all the way around to this corner here. All of this right here, all of this square tile right here, that is one single region. Then of course, this whole half here is one region, and then this whole half over here is one region. You can't just set up like this, which this would be a lot of fun as well because it's literally 3 regions and it's a lot of space and there's like a lot of movement that you would have to do. You could have more players even and all that other stuff, but you can't do like this because the way that the fireflies work is if you release a firefly, it tries to go to the nearest tree, but if there's no tree within that region, it's going to prefer going to the left no matter what. So if I zoom back out here, even though I'm very, very clearly closer to this right tree than I am this left tree, and I release the firefly, it's 100% of the time going to go towards the left because there's no tree within this region here at all. It's just going to prefer the left. I don't know why it does that. Maybe it's a bug, I don't know, or a glitch or whatever, but it prefers the left no matter what. So the only way that you could possibly do this is to shorten it down to 2 regions as I've done here. As you can see, this is an 8x8 right here, just like that. And then this over here is an 8x8 right here, just like that. And then the trees are just barely touching the region, just barely touching the region. The reason why is because if it was fully within the region, you would have such a little space, the game would be too easy, essentially. So you have to set it up exactly like that, and then of course you have to somehow know that that's within a region, and then somehow know that this is within a region, which is near impossible to do, but if you do enough testing, you could eventually figure it out, as I've done here. So I originally recorded this whole thing, and then I was like, you know what, I should do something that will allow people to sort of figure out where regions are and stuff like that. So I did a little bit of work here, and I was able to figure out a way to show you guys where your regions are. Like I said earlier in the video, regions are 8x8, so and your whole island is divided by these 8x8 regions. So if you go all the way to the very top right of your island, you'll know it's the top right of your island because you'll no longer be able to go up and you'll no longer be able to go left, but you'll still be able to obviously go in the other directions. So go all the way to the very top left corner of your map. You can also do this in the bottom right, the top right, the bottom left, wherever you want, as long as it's one of the corners of your island. Do that, and then you can start counting outwards. So obviously you would need a shovel for this, and then just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Go perfect diagonally 8, just like I did here, and then from there you can of course go straight this way because this is the corner of a region, which means this whole thing, this whole area right here is one single region. We know that because we did a perfect 8x8 region there, which means we now know that this area right here from this corner all the way to this corner here is also another region because it is also an 8x8. Then of course if we move on even further, we know that this is also a perfect 8x8 region, or another region, because it is also 8x8. You can do it just like that, and then of course you can play around like this and eventually have something like this. And then if you want to go down, you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, just like that. Now that's another region, and then you can keep doing this in different directions and stuff like that until you get the court where you want it to be at. But as you can see, that is probably the best way for you to determine where your regions are, is to go to the top left, do an 8x8 area there, and then just go off of that 8x8 over and over and over again until you get to the place that you want to put your court. And then of course, as I explained in this video, what I did is I did a 2 region system. So I did something basically like this. These 2 right here are regions, and then I just grabbed some stone or whatever other tile, and then I just surrounded the whole thing. That's what I did for my court. That is how you can determine where your regions are, and from here you can literally set up the court however you want, but make sure that when you set up your court and you put your trees, which I prefer to use these small pines by the way, put them exactly within that region where they're barely touching, just like that, like I did there, and then do the same thing obviously on the other side. And then of course you can set up your court something a bit like this or something where, hey, this is the middle, this is where the region begins, and that will help players determine, hey, this is how it works or whatever, right? So yeah, that's how you can sort of set up this system. It's extremely difficult and it takes a long time and a lot of work, but it is technically what you can do to determine where your regions are and how you can set up this game yourself. But once you have that set up like that, of course, again, make sure your trees are just barely touching the region and you're good to go. Everything is pretty much set up. Just set up some stuff similar to how I've done here with like a 1-point line here and then like a 2-point line here, and I guess this middle area right here would be a 3-point line or something like that, maybe a free throw line or something. I don't know. I don't really know if you could do a free throw in this, just because it would be too easy to block no matter what, so take that what you will. But essentially, that is how you would have to set this up. It's extremely difficult and complex, and that's why I spent about 3 minutes trying to explain it to you. And also, this is like my 5th take trying to explain it as well. But anyway, one more thing I guess I should mention is that fireflies only go towards trees during the day, so you can only play this game during the day, which is another problem. But anyway, onto the actual rules of the game. Technically, it's basketball, so the rules are pretty much simple as take the ball to the goal, but you can't dribble or anything like that. So the idea is, if you have the firefly, if you have the ball, I guess you could call it, then you can only move up and down. If you were able to move left and right, then I have the ball, why don't I just go all the way over here and just release it? So that's why you can only go up and down. If you don't have the ball, if you don't have the firefly, and you just have one of the empty lanterns, then you can move around as much as you want, all over the place, doesn't matter. You can even go all the way up as long as you're not out of bounds. If you touch this little stone area here, that is sort of out of bounds. That's the foul line, I guess you could call it, or whatever. That surrounds the whole thing. That surrounds both regions. So if you touch that or you go out of bounds, then that's out of bounds, and that's a foul, I guess you could call it, or whatever. The whistle blows, reset or whatever. You can't go out of bounds if you have the ball as well, obviously, and all that other jazz. So obviously the goal is to release the firefly and then try to get it to go into your basketball goal, which basketball goals would of course be the trees, and then of course the opposing teams would try to catch these fireflies so that it won't go in there, all that sort of stuff. But of course, if I have the ball, if I have the firefly, I cannot just release the firefly and then just walk 2 steps like this and then pick it back up and so on and so on and so on, because otherwise I could literally just release until I'm right here, essentially, right? And then I would just be guaranteed to score, because there's no way anyone standing here would be able to block it if I'm standing here as well, because the ball would just go immediately in the goal. So yeah, that's pretty much how it works. There's not really any other complex things here. Once you have it set up, it's very simple, and there's no complicated, oh, you have to do this a very specific way, this a specific way, and so on and so on. Just make sure that there's only one firefly, make sure that everyone else has empty fireflies, or well, rather everyone except one person that has the ball has empty firefly lanterns, and so on, and you can pretty much do whatever you want. You can pass it, all that sort of stuff. And since this is the very middle, if I'm just even slightly this way, it's going to go towards the left, and if I'm even slightly this way, it's going to go towards the right. There's no unfairness here, unlike the other setup that I showed you earlier. It's perfect. It works. It's just near impossible to set up. So I hope you enjoyed that video. This whole thing was more or less inspired by a comment that I got. I don't think I can find the comment anymore because I don't even remember where it was at, but I got a comment a long time ago saying that, like, hey, you know, you could technically play basketball with this, and I tried to do a lot of testing immediately after I got that comment, and I just could not get it to work. Kind of went back to it every now and again, and eventually I figured out, hey, this is the only way to do it. You have to set up regions a perfect way, and so on and so on. So yeah, that's how basketball works in Ponytown. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something here. I hope you can somehow figure out where the regions are on your map and everything like that, so you can play this yourself. I might be playing this with some friends on my Discord server here shortly, sometime soon. I don't know when. I may have already done it by the time this video comes out, but I don't know. That's gonna do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. Like I said earlier, I hope you learned something here, and yeah, please do consider liking, subscribing, sharing, and doing all of those wonderful things like that, because when you do those wonderful things like that, not only do you get access to wonderful content such as this, but you also get to become wonderful yourself, and I think we all want that. So do those wonderful things, and until next time, stay wonderful.